Hey everyone, Isho here. It won't come as a shock to most of you. I'm quite a fan of using weak auras as a key part of my UI. I've had a few requests lately just to show exactly what it is I'm using, how I'm using it, exactly how far you can push weak auras, and really what it can do for you, what it can help you track, etc. So I thought I'd make this quick video just to demonstrate some of that. So as you can see, I'm currently on my bear. This is probably my most weak aura heavy character. Almost 100% of his UI is using weak auras, all of which you currently can't see. I have the whole lot hidden when I'm at rest, as it were, if I'm not in combat. But as soon as I enter combat, you will see all that pop up. So let's get to it. As I enter combat, you'll see all of this pop up. So everything you see in the middle of the screen here is a weak aura. 100% of it. There's nothing here that isn't a weak aura. So there's quite a bit going on. We'll go through some of that now. So down the bottom here, you can see all of my current abilities that are off cooldown. So this is how I know what abilities I can currently use, what is proccing. So you'll see as I start to use some abilities, they all start disappearing. So when they're not there, they're currently on cooldown. So I don't feel I have a need to track exactly how long they have left on cooldown. It's not something that's particularly important to me, particularly on this character, and most of my abilities are a short cooldown anyway. Other things this tracks is, for example, you've got my Moonfire buff here. So when that procs, it pops up to show me its proc, and all of these abilities are loosely on a priority basis. So from left to right is roughly the most important rotational wise, if you like. Yeah, so it tracks things like this as well. So this is my Pulverize. That shows I've got 12 seconds, 11 seconds, 10 seconds left to cast that on my target before the debuff that I have on the target wears off and I can no longer cast Pulverize. So we'll go ahead and cast that now. And you will see shortly that it will pop back up. The other two that I've got on the end here, that's my Trinkets. So they're on short cooldowns. One of them's about 30 seconds, one's a minute 30, so they're short enough for me to put into this rotation for me. And you've obviously also got my Iron Fur. So that's basically that. You can do all sorts of things. You can obviously totally change the order. You can put some abilities, all abilities, whatever in there. But that's my basic rotation that I can track what's going on with what. Now if we jump into combat, this. So moving over here, we have got my health bar. So this is all 100% weak auras again. So first up, the big red bar here, that is my current health. It shows me in numbers as well as percentage remaining. Ignore this one down the bottom here for a moment. And as I start to take damage, you'll see that starts to go down. That's pretty straightforward, right? On the right hand side, we have my rage meter. So rage being my primary resource on this character. As I spend it, it vanishes. I currently have that one set up so that when I hit enough rage to cast Iron Fur, it goes green. It's a really easy visual indication to me without having to actually read the number that I can cast that, as well as having it Iron Fur only pops up down here if I'm able to cast it. So that's how that tracks. Down the bottom here, one of my abilities as a bear is Frenzied Regeneration. So it heals me for 50% of all damage I've taken over the last 5 seconds. So that's kind of important. I've got to make sure I time that properly so I'm not wasting it. This button, this shows down here exactly how much I'm going to be regenerating. So that changes dynamically as the fight goes on based on the damage I've taken in the last 5 seconds and how much I'm going to be healing for. This guy hits like a truck. So that's what they all track. Around the outside of the health bar and rage here, you'll notice that there is this little meter going around. So that tracks the cooldown of my Frenzied Regeneration. So it's got 3 charges on it. There's the white one on the left, white one on the right, and then the yellow one over the top. That tracks all 3 of my charges. So if we're in here and we use one, the yellow one's gone. Charge number 2 is recharging. If we use that, we've got 1 charge currently up with charge number 2 charging. So that's a really easy indication for me to read exactly how many I have up and how many I will shortly have up. So, and you've got do have a little counter here. Honestly, I don't look at that very much, but that's tracking exactly how long until my next charge is up. A little bit helpful. Go back over here where I'm not actually taking hurt. Other things over here. So you've got my main defensives down the bottom here. So pop the first one. That's going to give me exactly how long the buff is left up. So in all of this, none of my buffs am I having to look up to the top right of the screen or track anything down the bottom like on the default UI. Everything is right here in the middle of the screen. We pop another defensive. There's my bark skin, shows me exactly how long it's got left. Once they have expired, like this also does track exactly how long, so I do have two things tracking this, exactly how long till it ends. And if you look on both of the ones that I have used, so they've got this little orange meter going around the outside, as well as this counter which shows when they're coming up. You do have my trinkets over here as well, so that just tracks the cooldown of those. Now both the trinkets I have on at the moment give me a shield that is tracked through my health bar. So if we pop both those to give myself a big shield, boom, the blue meter there, it tracks my shield. So as that blue meter takes some hits, or wears off, it's going to go down. There is a little blue counter there, which I don't really look at too closely. So I can track exactly shields. So particularly with certain types of healers, particularly like a disc priest or something, I can see exactly what sort of shields I currently have had placed upon me, which is helpful to know. The other part of my UI, which you've probably noticed, is this over the right hand side. So all this really tracks is how long do I have on Iron Fur. So if you played a Guardian Druid, you'll know that that is a very key ability that we use defensively. It's used very often, and it's our primary rage sync, which is why I have my whole rage meter coloured around when I can use it. Shows me exactly how long left till it expires, and how many stacks of it I currently have. So the more stacks, obviously, the more armor buff I get out of it, so it is useful to know exactly how much damage I can anticipate taking in the near future. And this little one here, this changes dynamically with talents. So that's currently showing my Earth Warden stack. So that has 3 stacks on it. Each time I take damage, that will be reduced by 1 stack. So that currently shows I've got 3 up. If I remove that talent and go to something else in the row, so if I use either of these instead of Earth Warden, that will disappear by itself. It doesn't even load if I haven't taken that talent. There's not much else in my UI that is similar to that, but it's very easy to set up weak auras that only load when you take certain talents. You can obviously set your weak auras to trigger only when certain things proc, when certain things are off cooldown. You can track all sorts of things, like your frenzied regeneration percentage. You can have things like this to track cooldowns. You can have these bars for health. There's a lot of stuff and more. This is not using weak auras to its full extent. But yeah, so that's just an example of some of the things that you are able to do with weak auras. And yeah, so if you've got any questions about that, or you'd like me to help you replicate something similar for your own character, just give me a shout. You know where to find me. Thanks, guys.